He just said do a 5x5 strategy, which is like in a postcode with the highest density of consumers that you are targeting. What are the 5 coolest, best stores you want to be in those? Like, let's say Bondi. Okay, cool. These 5 cafes, the coolest 5 cafes, most influential, highest turnover stores that we want to be in. Do nothing but those 5 stores. Do nothing but those until those 5 stores are flying. And then the next 5 in that area will naturally come on. So then you got 10 stores in the area. You got 10 cafes and grocers in Bondi.
Right. So you're almost like influencing the reseller market.
Correct, because they've all got their own influence chain.
Yeah, it's almost like retailer influencing.
Correct. So like, like a Woolworths will look at Harris Farm.
Yeah,
What's
right.
Harris Farm doing? They're like bleeding edge retailers. In Whole Foods in America will dictate what Harris Farm does, for example. So you go like, who are you trying to influence and who's influencing them?
That's clever.
So you end up with the 5 coolest in an area. You become best friends with them. You do sampling. You do 1K radius Facebook ads around that store. You do everything. You sampling. You become best friends with the manager. And then the next 5 will naturally come on. And then you just nail those 10. And you got 10, which is quite a good population density in one postcode. So then you start to shine everywhere. And you're doing Facebook ads in that one postcode. So you're seeing it online. You're seeing it in stores. Everyone's drinking it. Yep. Influential. It's got this hype. Yep. And then you just move to the next suburb. You need the next postcode. And you do that one by one.
That's clever. That's really clever. How did it feel when, sorry to cut you off, but I was going to say, how did it feel when they start coming to you?
It feels good. Like it's still harder to service sometimes because it falls out of the flywheel. So if you think about like, I don't know, if these stores, let's say we're doing Bondi and then someone in Manly reaches out and you're like, maybe they're one of the top 5, maybe they're not. But if all your focus and intentions on Manly, it's so distracting, so easy to go, oh, just take one in Manly. They want it, just send it there. Let's take one in Brisbane. They've seen what we're doing on socials. Let's send it to Brisbane. And then suddenly you've gone from a really targeted, deliberate focus to you've got scattergun approach again because they've come to you. So it's almost sometimes easier to fall out of focus.
Yeah, but is it like, because I'm curious about this, are you saying that like if you get, and this is a really interesting topic, if you get stores coming in outside of the strategy, does that take resources internally away from the stores that need that?
Yeah.
Right. So
and then you're going to lose your, then you're diluting your focus and therefore results in your actual strategy to chase ones that may or may not work, but you got to send them cases, you got to chase up, you got to follow up orders, you got to chase payments. They'll call you, they'll ask you for more flavors.
Are you saying it can be a bad thing to have too many stores?
100%.
That's good advice.
You got to be super deliberate so then you know what channel you're focusing on, what consumer you're going after, what products you're selling them until you've proven it. And then you keep scaling it.
We had the same thing in our agency where we were like, oh, it'd be so cool to have 100 clients. And we got like 60 and we're like, this is fucked.
Yeah.
And then
and the ones that don't pay you and the ones that ask for late payments.
And then we stripped it back to 10, we tripled our revenue.
100%.
And we worked half the hours.
And profit as well, I imagine.
But isn't it funny because in the same way we talked about Facebook at the start of the conversation where it's like it's an ego boost to get 10K downloads, like it's not until you realize the mechanics of how everything works that it's like, wait, what if I could just have half the downloads, 5 times the profit and work half the hours?
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's the same in the beverage business.
But again, this is like strategies for not just if it's a good idea, it's when it's a good idea. So like when you're starting out, when you're getting your first mass, when you're getting your first million, that's the strategy. You're going from 10 to 20, that's a different strategy.